So the other day I was gaming in my living room and I was playing on the HTPC. I was playing Red Dead Redemption 2 when all of a sudden, without warning, the PC shut down. Just completely shut off in the middle of the game, and I was like, uh-oh, that's not good. So I got up from my couch, my sofa, and I went to try turning the PC on again, and it did not turn on. And it has since then not turned on at all. It's not making any noise when I turn it on, so I'm thinking maybe power supply, could be power supply failure. I hope that's the worst of it. I hope it's just a power supply issue and I can just swap it out. But I know exactly why, or I have a pretty good idea as to why the PC shut down and why the PSU might be dead. If we take a look over here at my entertainment center, you can see this is generally where I keep the HTPC, right in this cubby on the top shelf right there. And generally when I'm gaming on this thing, I leave these doors open because otherwise there's absolutely zero airflow happening inside of here. It's just a closed box on all sides. But when I was gaming on this thing the night that it died, I forgot to open the doors. And so I think this might be an overheating issue. It could be dead hardware, death by heat, overheating, and I think that makes a lot of sense because it's like an inferno in here without the doors open. So, and I don't know why I forgot to open them this one time. I'm usually really good about it. It's the first time it's ever happened, and of course, bad things happen as a result. But let me just give you guys a quick rundown of the HTPC itself and what we're working with here. So we've got a Ryzen 7 3700X, just running stock, and it's got it's on an X470 or X570 board. I can't remember. X470. It's an X470i gaming board from Asus ROG Strix board, and we have an RTX 3080 Founders Edition, which is not generally the card that I use in this system. Typically, I use the RTX 2080 Super FE. Hey, it's me. But because I think I was like, oh, why did I put this in here? I think because the DLSS update came out for Red Dead Redemption 2, and I wanted to try it out and get the highest frames possible. So just temporarily, I swapped it out for this guy. But this is not the permanent card. I'm probably gonna go back to this, or maybe depending on how today goes, maybe I'll upgrade this to something closer to that. We'll have to wait and see. We'll also have to wait and see just exactly what hardware is not functional right now, what has been fried. If it's not just the power supply, I hope it's not the graphics card. I have not touched this system since the incident, and it's been over a week now because I was saving all this for this video. I didn't want to like skip ahead and leave anything out, so we're exploring all this together. You can see this is not even a great fitted card for this case anyway, because the front panel doesn't pop on without it. It just doesn't clear. Fortunately, it's got this cutout, so it can technically get mounted to the motherboard, but it's obviously not ideal. And I can't even just remove this because it's, the front panel connectors are tethered to the case itself. Power button's on here. So yeah, I'm not gonna keep this card in here anyway, but I just really hope it's still working. Right now, I don't actually have much hardware on hand here at my house. So why don't we go ahead and take this back to the studio where I've got a lot more troubleshooting abilities, and we'll go from there. Before we continue, this video is brought to you by BlockFi. The BlockFi Rewards Visa Signature Card is the world's first Bitcoin rewards credit card that lets you earn crypto without the use of any computer hardware, earning you back 1.5% Bitcoin on every purchase. There's no annual fee, and eligible US residents in qualified states can apply for the card today. Card owners will also be eligible for a series of other benefits. Earn 3.5% back in Bitcoin during your first 3 months of ownership, earn 2% back in Bitcoin on every purchase over $50,000 of annual spend, know if you're approved without affecting your credit score, and enjoy all the benefits that come with a Visa Signature Card. To start earning Bitcoin the easy way, click on the link in the description for more info. All right, I've got the HTPC here. It's connected to this Corsair monitor. I've also got a power cord in here, just because before I start taking it apart and troubleshooting further, I kind of just want to show you guys what's going on and just to sort of verify with you that the system is not working, which basically means that when I press this button, if it's going to behave the same way as it does at home right now, it's not going to turn on, nothing's going to start spinning up. So let's just give it a shot. Wait. No. Wait, what, okay. All right, let's just pause, rewind for a second. Hold on, it's starting up, but will it boot? Will we actually get a video signal? Okay, then what is it the power cord? Is it the power cord that went bad at home? Or maybe it's the surge protector? No, the surge protector has a bunch of other devices plugged into it that are working perfectly fine. Unless it's the outlet, the individual outlet popped or something, I don't know. I wouldn't be able to verify that unless unless we go home again. This is exactly why I leased an office that's only a mile away from my house. But this is very interesting. This is very, very interesting. So this fan's not spinning because it's not plugged in, so that's normal. Nothing wrong there. But the system seems to be working perfectly fine. This is good news. This is great news. It's just unexpected and confusing news. So I guess the plot thickens. We have to go back home. I'm gonna go back home right now, bring this guy with me, and we'll do some more testing there. Goodness gracious, I should have just done this at home. I could have done this exact test at home. Oh my God, I'm so stupid. All right, well. You know what, while we're here, I guess one little side note that we can address is the long graphics card. Like the 3080 is not gonna cut it in here. I really wanna be able to put this front panel on, you know, catch some dust maybe with this filter, and also it doesn't fit. So why don't we go ahead and see what we have, actually. The other reason why I don't like the RTX 3080 Founders Edition here for this build is because it's got that fan that's on the other side that's intaking air from in here, which is kind of being blocked. It's actually being very blocked by the giant 120 rad from the Corsair AIO on our 3700X. So there's a number of reasons why this card's just not cut out for this case and the current configuration of the build. So why don't we see what I got over here? So remember, I keep walking back and forth, sorry. So remember the original card that I've had on the HTPC for quite some time now is the RTX 2080 Super FE, which has been a perfectly fine card, but I feel like I've been gaming on the living room TV, like on the HTPC a lot more lately, and I've just been craving.
Yeah, dude, go ahead. More power, baby! Yeah!
And I definitely have faster cards than this. It's just a matter of, because of the form factor, do I have a GPU that's faster than this, that's also going to fit inside of this build? Because, you know, I've got RTX 3080s and 3090s at the wazoo. Sorry, don't mean to flex on you guys, but, you know, most of them are just like ridiculous 2.5 triple slot cards, triple slot coolers with, you know, even longer lengths than this, triple power connectors. I wouldn't even be able to power it with a 600 watt unit anyway. So yeah, let's go to the inventory and see what we got. So I definitely want NVIDIA, because I want ray tracing, you know, on the TV. It's a nice big OLED, and I want to have that option. DLSS is nice, especially since I've been playing a lot of Red Dead Redemption 2 lately. But what do I actually have in store that's available? So here's a 3090, big boy 3090. No way that's gonna fit. We could do another FE, but this is a RTX 3060 Ti. RTX 3070, which has, you know, unlike the RTX 3080 FE, has both fans on one side, and this would be the side facing the ventilation of the case. So this would actually be better in terms of the type of cooler that it is inside of that chassis. And an RTX 3070 is definitely an uptick in performance over a 2080 Super. If you guys remember, a 3070 is very similar, very in line with RTX 2080 Ti performance, which is going to be a bit faster than 2080 Super. Not a whole lot faster, but a smidge. And this is definitely not a power hog of a GPU, considering it's not, you know, heavily factory overclocked by some board partner or anything like that. So this is definitely an option, but do we have a better one? We've got this, like all these aftermarket 3080s are just too big. I don't have any, like, oh man, I wish I had like one of Zotac's mini cards. Does Zotac make a mini 3080? I don't know, that one might have flown under my radar, but I definitely don't have one here if it does exist. Geez Louise, you know, I think the specific needs for this particular build are very particular, and from what I'm seeing here, I don't think there's a better option at this point than the 3070 FE, which I'm such a brat for even like sighing at that. Okay, it's okay, 3090, okay. All right, you know what? Since this actually might be a much shorter video than expected because there's really nothing wrong with the PC apparently, that gives me a little extra time to do some other fun stuff. So why don't we just do a quick comparison, a quick performance test between the RTX 2080 Super and the 3070 FE, just to see if it's even worth it. Because I mean, if it's like, you know, a 5% bump in performance, then I don't know. I might as well just like keep the FE for, you know, on hand for testing and just to have a 3070 FE on hand. Whereas this is last generation, I don't really use it for testing nearly as much as I do the 3000 series, so not as big of a deal if it goes in the HTPC. But I'm willing to use this one in my home theater system if the performance is there, if it's notably better than this guy. So let's just do a quick benchmark. All right, the results are in. I tested 3 different games, just really quick benchmarks, all at 4K because that's the resolution that I'll be gaming on with this system. So in Ashes of the Singularity, the 2080 Super scored 95 frames per second on average with a 1% low of 50 and a 0.1% low of 46. And if we go down to the 3070 results, we can see that the results haven't really changed all that much. 94, 49, and 45. Just a frame or 2 off in pretty much every area. Just 1 frame actually. 1 frame difference pretty much chalks up to margin of error, more or less identical performance between these 2 cards, which should be expected. It's not to say that the performance of these cards, the raw performance is identical, but at 4K, when we're heavily GPU bound and potentially getting a little bit of bottlenecking on the 3700X, the performance gap between both cards is going to close. Whereas if we tested this at 1080, if I was gaming at 1080, then that would obviously be, there'd be a lot more disparity there. So let's move on to the second test, which was Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and this is pretty similar. We got 62 FPS on average with the 2080 Super, 46% or 46 FPS, 1% low, and a 0.1% low of 43 versus on the 3070, 66, 46, and 44. So we did bump up a little bit. We went up 4 frames per second on average, going from 62 to 66. That's a nice jump, but not super significant. And once again, showing off the great equalizer that is 4K when it comes to GPUs. And the last game I tested was Red Dead Redemption 2. Fraps wasn't working on it for some reason, so I just used the in-game benchmark results. We're going to ignore the minimum and maximum FPS here because those are basically outliers. 1% and 0.1% lows are much more reliable. So average FPS on the 2080 Super was 50.9 frames per second versus 51.59 frames per second on the 3070. Again, not much of a difference there. So that begs the question, do I stick with the RTX 2080 Super that I've been using for a while, or do I quote unquote upgrade to an RTX 3070, even though I won't really be seeing a huge uplift in frame rates at 4K? Well, I think I'm gonna go with...
Hey folks, viewer mail time again. Oh, here's one from Sally, age 14. Dear Pig, aren't you interrupting the story at the most suspenseful part? Well, the answer is yes, Sally. Yes, I am.
Think I'm gonna go with the RTX 3070 anyway. And here's why. For one, ray tracing performance is going to be a little bit better. It's got newer generation RT and tensor cores, even though we didn't really test ray tracing at all in any of the tests I ran today, just now. But I would have to imagine that when push comes to shove, if I am playing a game that has ray tracing, DLSS, it's going to perform a little bit better on this card than it will on a 2000 series GPU. But that's arguably the smaller of the 2 reasons why I'm choosing the 3070. And the main reason is that it's got HDMI 2.1. HDMI 2.1. Remember the LG OLED TV, most TVs don't have a DisplayPort input. So you're pretty much stuck with HDMI, and my LG OLED has HDMI 2.1, whereas this GPU does not. RTX 2000 series is HDMI 2.0B pretty much across the board with any of those cards, meaning that I'm not gonna get as much bandwidth out of it on that TV as I will with this GPU. What does that mean? Well, with the additional bandwidth, I'd actually be able to game at 4K 120 Hertz, which the LG OLED C9 supports, and have HDR enabled. So with this GPU, for example, I've always been able to do 4K 120 Hertz, but not with HDR. So I'm definitely sacrificing a bit of dynamic range in that area. Or I could enable HDR, but then I'd be gaming at, let's say, 60 Hertz 4K, which is obviously not quite as ideal. So with this protocol with HDMI 2.1 and the RTX 3000 series, I really get to have my cake and eat it too, which at the end of the day, I think is totally worth it if I'm gaming on a super huge, fancy OLED TV. I really want to make the most of the technology that it offers, and this card allows me to do that. That being said, I think we are pretty much ready to go back to his house and figure out once and for all why the heck my HTPC isn't turning on. Okay, so we're back home. I've got the HTPC over here plugged into a completely different outlet, the outlet that's just behind this room divider here. We've got the power cord. We're just gonna test it out to see if it boots, if it behaves the same way it did back at the studio, which I would assume it would. I know this outlet's working. I was just using it for a light a second ago. So let's see what happens. It's booting. It's running. I hear it. GPU fans are spinning. I saw the power supply fan spin up for a second. It's at 0 decibel silent mode or whatever, so that's normal that it's not spinning now, but it seems to be working. I would assume that it's probably going through the whole posting and booting process right now, so that's a good sign. At least we have the HTPC working, just mere feet away from the display it's supposed to be connected to. And I'm going to now try it once more with the original power cable that was being used when the PC quote unquote died. That didn't really die, but you know, when it powered down. When it powered down unexpectedly. So let's go ahead and turn this off. Here. All right, if it boots right now, if it powers on, I'm gonna be so, like, it's gonna be a cocktail of emotions. On one hand, I'll be really happy, and on the other hand, I'll be like, what the fuck? It's like one of those things where like something's not working, you're like, it's not working. As soon as you show someone, it just immediately starts working. You're like, I swear it wasn't working a second ago. All right, it's plugged in, power supply's on, here we go. It's booting. I'm gonna turn the TV on to make sure that it's actually getting a video signal. This is so stupid. This is so stupid. Yay! But what the fuck? Okay, here. Oh wait. I didn't even plug in the HDMI cable. Okay, there we go. We're in the desktop. What the okay, does anyone know why the PC wasn't working for like a week straight? I mean, I tried powering it on. It's like every single day since the day it powered down, since the incident, and it just wasn't turning on at all. I made sure that the power cable was in good, it was secure, but on both sides. I haven't touched the power cable. I haven't touched the other side of the power cable since the incident. So it's been plugged in, connected properly every single time that I've tried to power it on, and only now is it working for some reason. What a dumb, can I even make a video about this? Should I even post it? I'm wondering if I should even post this. Is this content? I'm gonna ask Twitter. I'm gonna explain to Twitter what just happened. But that's gonna give away some of the video if I do post it. I don't care. Not everybody who follows me on YouTube follows me on Twitter, so it's gonna be a small fraction. Where's my phone? My phone's in not my pocket, it's over here. Maybe somebody on Twitter will have some kind of an idea of what just happened, why it's behaving this way. And then maybe we can explore it further from that point on, but let's just tweet. All right, here's my tweet. Here's our tweet. Last week, HTPC powered off while gaming. Refused to turn on for a week straight. Today, it's magically working again. Why, how, was it on vacation? Like what the f— All right, sending it out into the ether. And now we wait for people who are smarter than me to reply. All right, it's been about half an hour. We've got 25 or 30 replies here, so let's see if there's anything juicy, if we got any leads. Brad said, check your motherboard. My old PC would sporadically stop turning on or turn on and not post, and wouldn't turn the power LED on most of the time. I discovered when it packed it in completely that the motherboard had some unexplainable corrosion issues in multiple places. I don't think that that's our issue. I did inspect the board up close back at the studio. Didn't see any signs of corrosion or anything like that. Everything is well connected. So that is something to be aware of though. Corrosion is a thing. It does happen, but not in this case, I believe. The Real Reaper, my server when I first got it did this, never figured out why. Hit the power button, nothing. 3 days later, okay, I'm gonna power on and off every time you hit the power button now. And it's been that way for over a year. LOL. Okay, that makes me feel less alone, but no closer to figuring out what the hell's going on with my HTPC. Taylor, gotta love it, damn PCs have minds of their own sometimes. On a serious note, I'd check the motherboard and PSU connection since you always have bad luck with bricking boards. Anshul, hi Anshul, I like Anshul. Had a wonky Wi-Fi on a laptop that refused to work, went to sleep and came back and it was like nothing was wrong. I did everything short of reinstall the OS and physically replace the chip. Yeah, I don't know. Computers are just weird sometimes. Maybe that's the point of this video. And sometimes you just can't, not everything has an explanation in the tech world. Because I mean, apart from that, there's really no other leads here. You know, there's a couple funny comments, some clever GIFs that I like. Yeah, I guess that's where I turn to you guys. If you have any idea of what just happened to my HTPC, why it wasn't turning on, why it shut down out of nowhere, why it wasn't turning on for a week straight, and now it suddenly works perfectly fine. Let me know, because there's obviously a lot more of you watching this right now than people who follow me on Twitter, so maybe we can just pool our heads together and I don't know, maybe this will lead to a part 2 video or something where I investigate it more. But I am sorry. I'm sorry this video sucked and that I couldn't show you guys more. Thanks for watching this video, I guess. Don't even bother tossing a like. In fact, just everyone dislike the video. This was dumb. Thanks for watching though. Subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.